So with this video today, you are going to understand thought transmission in a way that you have never gotten it before. And I know that that is a bold claim, but I just know that so many of you've heard about thought transmission, you kind of get it, but I think a lot of you aren't getting how real it is, how your thoughts, your consciousness, what is going on in here is not private. It is something that is constantly influencing, it is sharing, it is constantly affecting everything around you. It's affecting your physical body in terms of the way that you look, the way that you feel, even the way you carry yourself, the extra weight or lack of weight you have, everything about you. And it's also affecting your physical world around you, very much influencing, very directly, very consciously influencing the people around you, and not just the people physically around you, but the people that you know across the world that you're having conscious thoughts about. So really get it that thought transmission is not like a fancy little trick that you can sometimes tap into and be like, oh, I'm going to send that person a thought to make them change. I think that's how a lot of people are relating to thought transmission. Thought transmission is happening 24/7, all of the time. Your thoughts are not private. Your reality is not private. It is constantly creating outside of you. So today we're going to get into it. You can tell I'm already excited and fired up about this. So let's do this. And before we get into it, I will introduce myself to those of you who maybe don't know me yet. You're clicking on this video for the first time. My name is Genevieve. I am a manifestation coach. I mainly talk about ideas related to the law of assumption, but I also talk about all kinds of different tools and teachings that can help you to manifest your reality, to get healthier in your reality, because it's also a big focus of mine, is not just manifesting like random stuff, like random contact or random things, but actually becoming a person who really enjoys their life and really feels good and stable and healthy in themselves as the operant power of their reality, your reality, feeling really good about it, not always like trying to manifest in order to make yourself feel good. Like that also doesn't work. But anyway, so if you would like to work with me, there are all kinds of ways that you can do that via the links below. There are courses. At the time of posting this, I've got 3 courses available. All of them are awesome, and it can address different things that might be affecting you and your ability to manifest. I laugh because your ability to manifest is never off. Like you are always, and you always have been, an amazing manifester. The only reason maybe you're not seeing what you want to see is because you don't actually believe that yet, or you haven't really like gotten yourself to access that part of you because you're still benefiting so much from the old version of you. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. So you've always been an amazing manifester. It's not your ability that's ever in question, but it's about getting yourself into the right mode to really shift. So anyway, courses are down below to help you with that stuff. You can also do a one-on-one session with me if you want to talk to me directly about your life and your circumstances. We can get deeper into that to help you adjust. And there's also a membership portion of this channel if you want to go deeper into the tools, meditations I offer over there. So there's lots of kinds of different things. Oh, also, I just remembered, thank you. I always forget, but today I remembered to please like this video and subscribe. I always forget to say that. I forget to say the typical YouTuber things like that. So like this video if you get something out of it, which I know that you will, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more high quality manifestation videos like this. So with that, let's get into thought transmission. Those of you who know me already, you know that I talk about, it's not about trying to think a certain way in order to like make reality do something different. It's about who are you genuinely being? Who are you genuinely thinking as? Who are you genuinely perceiving? When you look out at your reality, what natural assumptions are you making? What perceptions are you making? What are you deciding is the truth about what you are perceiving? And every moment that you're doing that, you are creating reality. So that's what I mean by it's your genuine perceptions, and you can train your genuine perceptions over and over again with a focused, conscious mental diet. But it's not this like, oh, I'm trying to think positive so that something good happens. That's superficial and false. And you can often get like flash in the pan results from that for sure. But for sustainable, like long-term shifts, you have to get that your thoughts are always transmitting. It's not just when you're deciding to do a technique. It's when, it's like, who are you being a majority of your day? That you that you're being is being naturally picked up on instantly by all of reality. Now, some of you might be hearing this and getting freaked out because you're like, oh my God, I thought for, I had an hour today where I was really freaking out and I was thinking bad thoughts. Do not take this information and use it in a negative way. This information is meant to empower you. It's meant to remind you that you have a choice 24/7. You have a choice about what you're perceiving, what reality means, what your life means, who you are, who your identity is, and who you think you are. All of that is just a choice. So do not beat yourself up if you did have a day or even a week where you kind of slipped into a negative reality or you went back into your old story. The more you beat yourself up about that, the more you are agreeing that that reality is very real. It's very powerful. It has power over you, and it therefore creates like so quickly, and it's so bad. All you need to do is acknowledge, like, okay, yep, I went into that place for an hour or a week or whatever it was. I wasn't believing my consciously chosen reality that I'm practicing. I went into a weird place, but now I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm choosing this. And because reality shifting is instant, the moment that I remember, oh yeah, this is who I am, everything is fine. There's nothing wrong. There's no weirdness from this past that you thought you experienced that you need to fix. You can just be like, that's not real. This is what's real. This is what I remember myself to be. Oh yeah, everything is fine. So I hope that makes sense. That's just kind of the first tidbit in terms of like, don't use any of this information today as another way to beat yourself up. Because that's what so many people do when they discover manifesting, is they accidentally use everything they're learning as a way to be even more afraid of their thoughts. And I don't want you to take any of this today as some sort of fuel to be even more hard on yourself about your past thoughts. So there's that. So now I want to tell you guys a story that's going to help you a lot if you're manifesting specific people, and it doesn't matter if it's a romantic specific person or not. And also this example is going to help you to see exactly what I mean about how your thoughts are not private. You are constantly transmuting your consciousness, and it is instant. It instantly affects other people. So I'm going to give you a real world example that happened to me a few weeks ago. I went to go get my hair cut, and I'm at the salon, and I'm the kind of person, like, I'm pretty introverted, and my hairstylist knows that, so we'll like kind of chit chat for a little bit, but then like I'll kind of like go into my zone, and I'll just kind of close my eyes and relax, and she cuts my hair. It's very like ASMR for those of you who love ASMR like I do. But while I'm sitting there and I'm just like enjoying my haircut, I look at this station, like the little haircut stations. There's one like directly like diagonal to me, and I can kind of perfectly see out of the corner of my eye that there is this older woman there who's also obviously getting her haircut, her hair done. And I can just, my instant intuitive perception of her is that she is not happy. Like her whole life force energy just feels like it's down. But what was interesting about her was that she obviously was wealthy. Like she had really expensive clothing on, really expensive jewelry. She had a super nice bag. So it was kind of fascinating to see, okay, here's this woman who obviously is benefiting from physical material wealth, but everything about her life force energy it just hit me as intuitively like dulled and depressed and not happy. And I'm going to pause here for a minute because some of you are starting to ask these like, well, everyone is you pushed out thing. So if you were perceiving that, that's you pushed out. So as you get better at conscious manifesting, you start to learn boundaries, and you also start to learn how to interpret the everyone is you pushed out thing in a much healthier way. That's not this like narcissistic, like absolutely everything I see is just a reflection of me. That's like very odd. It almost like erases the souls of other people. Like it almost like makes other people not even real to say that like everyone is just me pushed out all the time. So as you get better at this, you start to learn how to intuitively meet the initial energy that you're given. So this woman, before she was consciously aware of me and before I was consciously aware of her, she had her own thing going on and I had my own thing going on. We were not conscious of each other yet until this moment of being in the hair salon. She came in with her own stuff, I came in with my own stuff, and as someone who is naturally intuitive, I have no bias towards her yet. So I'm actually pretty intuitively clear of like what's going on with her. I don't have any past relational assumptions about her because I don't even know her. There's nothing clouding my sort of initial intuitive perception of her. So that's just, I have to put that as a caveat here because so many people are messing up the everyone is you pushed out thing. And again, as you get better at this, you're gonna start to learn the difference between what you're intuitively picking up on is like the 3D current momentum, the difference between that, and then having that knowing and then changing the momentum to go in a different way. Because here, to get back to the story, here is what happened next. So I'm the kind of person that I love to manifest people when I am out in public. I just get off on it. I love it. So the minute I am noticing this woman, I'm noticing she's so interesting, obviously, like she's got all this like decked out stuff on, but she's obviously very unhappy. She seems depressed. I'm going to manifest her. So I'm getting my haircut done, you know, and I'm just kind of chilling in my own world still. Like I'm kind of closing my eyes and I'm just thinking, and the way that I like to do this, and I want you guys to try this out, because if you can do this on people you're very non-resistant to, like either strangers or people that there's no validation needed, and that's the thing I'll talk about in a bit, but there's nothing for you to really gain. Manifesting is so easy when you're not like needing to gain anything, when you're not needing to validate. And again, that's one of the big paradoxes of manifesting, is the less you like need the proof of it, the faster it comes. And so manifesting strangers is a really great way, because again, it's low stakes, it's just fun practice. So I'm in myself, I'm deciding, okay, I'm gonna go kind of within her. So this is the thing I like to do, is I kind of like to imagine myself as her, because we are all one. This is why manifesting works. Like all of us humans and everything else in consciousness too, everything is existing within the oneness of our consciousness. So just because I'm me and I'm currently identified as Genevieve that has this brain and this body, I can go into the consciousness of another person. Like I can experience them, especially if I'm very non-resistant to them. Like the people that you are resistant to because maybe you want something from them or maybe you really don't like them. If you're resistant to people, it can sometimes initially feel harder to kind of go into their perspective or into their consciousness. But people you're really non-resistant to, you can sort of like just get quiet and just imagine being within that person, and don't overthink it. Just like imagine being that person. And then what I was doing is I was saying, as if I was her, I am so happy. I am so happy in my life. My life is so fulfilled. I am just so happy. I love my life. I love my life. And then I was kind of like flipping perspectives between being within her and then also being me, looking at her and saying, that woman is so happy. She is just so happy. She loves her life. She feels so fulfilled in her life. And so I'm kind of flipping perspectives between me and her. And what was so funny was, because I'm kind of closing my eyes, like I said, like I'm just enjoying my haircut and I'm just kind of like in myself. And all of a sudden I'm doing this, and then I open my eyes just to kind of glance over at her, and she's fully like staring at me now. So she was not noticing me at all like before. Like I was sat there, she was totally in her own kind of world before, where you could tell she was almost like kind of dissociating, kind of depressed, like she was not even noticing me over there. But now she's like fully like turned towards me and like staring me, now that I've started to kind of like work on her consciousness. It makes me laugh because it's just so fun and enjoyable. So she's looking at me and I'm just kind of like, I just kind of smile at her, and then I just kind of go back to like looking in my mirror, just like, because I'm like, I'm also like, I'm stealthy about this. Like I'm so introverted. Like when I'm out in public, I like to manifest people, but like I don't really want to be noticed. Like I want to be like a little invisible angel or something. It sounds so corny, but that's like what I like to do. Like I don't really want to be acknowledged by them, but that's just my own preference. So anyway, so I'm not like really engaging with her in the physical, but internally I'm very heavily engaging with her in my consciousness. So she goes back to, you know, she's doing her own thing. I'm closing my eyes. I'm within myself. And then I notice she starts finally talking to her haircut guy. Like there's a guy cutting her hair, working on her hair, and before they were like not talking, and suddenly she's kind of talking to him. She also picks up her phone and she makes a phone call. She's talking to somebody else, And she suddenly, it's like instantly, her whole demeanor changed. She was kind of engaging in life a little bit more. She was feeling it. I could just tell. You can tell, again, especially if you're especially intuitive, you can tell when someone is shifting. And so I knew, like, I got the gratification of like, I just manifested that woman because I just did that. So this example, I hope, is making sense to you in terms of like, imagine if I had just sat down in that chair and I saw this woman and I was like, oh, this woman seems miserable. She's like some rich old lady who's like so unhappy. Like, geez, lady, get happy with your life or whatever. Like, imagine if I kept that consciousness towards that lady. I would be trapping her even more in the state that she was already in if I continued to create her with that perception. Are you following the thing I'm saying? This is what I mean by your thoughts aren't private. Your perceptions of reality are constantly creating reality. And even if you see something that instantly you feel is maybe off or is maybe not right or not the way you would prefer it, you can instantly go in and change it. And it changes based on your assumptions, your experience of like what is really happening with this person that you've decided is what's happening for them now. And obviously, to my audience, this is for people who are going to be using this for good. Because I'm saying this and then I can just hear people asking questions like, well, you could go in and you could like think bad things about people and make them feel worse. And it's like, yeah, you can. And you do that all the time unconsciously. Like when you're in a bad mood and you're at the grocery store or whatever, and you're like assuming that like, oh, that guy's an idiot or blah, blah, blah. You are, as I said, if you're unconsciously not checking yourself, you are keeping them in that trap of a negative vibe. Like whenever you make a negative perception about people, but here's the thing, and this is what I mean by like, my audience is not going to want to do that, is when you trap them in that, you are also trapping yourself in that, because this is also a part of the everyone is you pushed out thing. Like when you are really pushing out to people, like if you're really agreeing with and consciously having in an unchecked way the thoughts about the people around you that like, yeah, they're all messed up and everyone sucks and nothing's, you know, all those kinds of weird stuff that's like all about powerlessness and victimhood and sadness and separation. That's all you. Like you are feeling that and you are projecting that and therefore pushing that out on the people you're perceiving, and you are therefore kind of trapping them, that's the best word I can think of in this moment, in that version of your consciousness. It is negative affecting them, but it's even more negatively affecting you. There's absolutely no way that you can negatively manifest someone. Like if you're assuming bad things about like, oh, I hate that person, like I hope they die. Well, that was extreme, but you know, you hope something bad happens to them. There's no way that you can assume that about another person and not equally or maybe even more so bring that kind of hurt upon yourself, because that person is not separate from you. There is no separation in reality. None of this stuff would work if you were truly separate from the other people, if you were separate from the things in this reality. So for you to think that you can wish harm on someone else or that you can like really want them to be punished, if you think that you can maintain that and you yourself like be some exalted like loving being, like it's just not possible. So really remember that all of this is for your benefit. And the more that you can be consciously thought transmuting in terms of like what you are perceiving, you are deciding, you know what, I'm gonna make this better because it heals you, it helps you maintain your healthy state. So I'm saying this in the way that it's almost in some ways like kind of selfish. It's not really selfish, but it's kind of selfish, like me manifesting the woman at the hairdresser. Like obviously it benefited her, but it also really benefits me. So that's what I mean by like, it's almost kind of selfish, but not really, because again, we're not separate. So everything you are doing for other, you are doing for yourself. So I really hope this is making sense for those of you who are manifesting specific people, because when it comes to manifesting specific people, especially romantic specific people, it's often coming from you are maybe in a resentful, mad or like victim-y state where it's like they left me or they did this and I need them to make up for it and apologize, or they need to, you know, they need to love me. Why aren't they loving me? I deserve their love. And it's like that kind of thinking you have to see. If I'm not in this place of self-security, of being like, yeah, I already know I'm loved. I already know I'm amazing. And now it's easy for me to simply assume, yeah, that guy over there that I'm attracted to, that I'm trying to manifest, it's easy for me to assume that of course he loves me back. And it's not coming from this place of like need or desperation or anger that I want them to validate me because I don't know how to validate myself. That's why people who are in those kinds of states tend to not be successful when manifesting specific people, because they can't see it clearly. That's like, to manifest somebody else, they are an extension of your consciousness. And if you're still relating to them from a dynamic of, I'm really upset about the past is super alive in me, I need them to do something to make up for the past that I'm still living in. It's like, that's why we say you have to shift into a completely different reality, a reality where all this other stuff you're mad about, take care of your emotions around it, but that other stuff, you've got to let it go. You cannot keep holding on to that in a serious way and then expect your person to suddenly be different when you're not different. This is why I say this so much. Like, reality can't change until you start to really change your consciousness in terms of how are you genuinely perceiving the people you're trying to manifest? How are you genuinely perceiving yourself in the dynamic with them? That is what causes big and fast shifts in reality, especially when you're non-resistant. So this is why, again, I say practice on strangers or practice on coworkers or practice on people you're really non-resistant to, because you don't need anything from them. And when you see how easy it is with them to just instantly go into, oh yeah, this is what that person feels, and this is how awesome their day is going, and they really like me, I really like them, everything's cool. And then it's like, oh, all I have to do is just apply that same logic to my specific person and stop being so like weird and clingy and like totally insecure about it. Oh, now this makes sense. So I hope you're really getting it. And again, this is, your thoughts are transmuting 24/7 in terms of like whatever you're perceiving. Reality is instantly like, oh, that's what is true because she's the operant power. She's the one that's deciding. So I guess that's what's true. But you can always decide another story. And that's why, again, like I said before, if you are initially hit with someone in your consciousness who's coming in and they're not a vibe that you prefer, whatever you want to call it, you can decide to relate to them with total approval, total acceptance, total knowing that, yep, everything's fine here, and not take the bait on their current state and run with it as if it's like, oh yeah, now I'm at their level. Because a lot of you, especially people who claim to be empaths, they love to be victims because of their empathicness, where they think, oh, well, there's so much negative energy coming at me and there's so much toxic energy that I can't handle. It's like, you are choosing to relate to people in that way. Like, you've got, this is what I mean by you're the operant power. You have to remember, you have choice in the way you think, the choice in the way you perceive people. And if you're constantly labeling that everyone's got negative energy and they're all toxic, like actually it might be you in your thinking that is toxic. Like, you, something about you really loves being a victim. You've gotten a lot out of that. And that's why it's so, something about you thinks it's beneficial to keep choosing that as your story. So anyway, this video has now gotten long enough, but I intend that this made a lot of sense to you and gave you a lot of nuanced perspective on what I mean about thoughts are constantly transmuting. Your reality is not private. People are constantly feeling, and I should say, this is a thing I meant to say, they're feeling it subconsciously. Like the guy at the grocery store that you are judging is like, oh, he's annoying or whatever, that guy's stupid or whatever. He, unless he's super intuitive, he's probably not consciously aware that like, oh, that lady just said something mean about me. But he subconsciously is very affected by it, just in the same way that your subconscious is also affected by other people. But when you really claim your ownership of you are the only operant power in your reality, you're the only one, if someone's giving you information, you instantly know how to alchemize that and again make a choice about what direction you're going to send that energy, that information next. You are not a victim to any intuitive information that comes into your subconscious, and that takes some skill to build that trust in yourself that like, yeah, just because maybe someone else sent you some intuitive information to your subconscious doesn't mean that that's true. You get to choose again where that information is going to be going next, because you're going to decide, actually this means this, and you're going to be the powerful one that decides the direction of everything. So I hope that makes sense, and I know it does. Of course it does. This was just a long rant of lots of fun things. So let me know your thoughts and your questions in the comments below. There's a lot to still even say about this, I'm realizing, so maybe I'll make like a part 2 about this, especially in terms of the thing I just said about how you're affecting people subconsciously versus consciously, in that your thoughts aren't private, but how can you learn to know the difference when someone else is sending you energy versus you sending them energy? And by energy, I mean thoughts and perceptions and assumptions. So that's something that I can talk about if you would like to hear more about that. So comment below if you want to hear more about that. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or your night or wherever you are. I am so glad you were led to this video. There's a reason that you found it, because you are ready for this level of manifesting. So let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in my next video. All right, bye.